So, I've actually had a number of people, or maybe it's just the same person posting under fake names, message me about my comments about maximum recoverable volume on the Jacked Athlete podcast. Thought I would address that. So, of course, they never message me using their real name. They're always, some weird handle, whether it's YouTube or IG or whatever, and that's fine. So first off, the very first thing I want to say is I don't hate Mike Israetel. I don't have any personal issue with him at all. I don't know why people jump to that. I think that he has a really great sense of humor. I actually like his posts. I follow him. I think he's really funny. I just disagree with the idea of using maximum recoverable volume with athletes. I'm sure it works great for bodybuilders. Like, I won't even argue that. I'm sure it works fantastic for bodybuilders. I just don't think it works with athletes, and that's my experience. So I don't know why people think that I hate him, because I don't. But anyways, coming back around to maximum recoverable volume, because I'm going to clarify what I'm talking about here. Here's the deal. When you're working with athletes, let's just take football, okay? Have you ever seen professional football players on Monday? Probably not. These guys are covered in bruises, they are banged up, they're hobbling in. Like, they are beat up and sore. You're not going to train hard. Like, you're going to train as hard as you can, but the idea that you can even stick to a plan doesn't happen. Sorry, folks. I can tell you honestly that we never stuck to any plan. There was no sense in writing a program of like, oh, we're going to do 5 sets of 5 at 85%. No, you're not. No, you're not. I mean, maybe your second string guys, they can go ahead and keep following that program, right? Because they're not even getting in the game. These backup players, yeah, they can go do 5 sets of 5 at 85%. They're fresh. But your star players, your starters, your first string guys, no, they're not putting 85% on their back and doing 5 sets of 5. Not happening. Their shoulders are purple. So it's one of those things where, okay, you're beat up, let's train, but we're going to train smart, and we're not going to beat you into the ground because I still need you to recover so you can play this week. That's just the way it works, folks. So this idea of maximum recoverable volume where, you train at this high volume, it's just simply not going to work you can't use it in an in-season program. You really can't use it with athletes. They still need to be able to practice. So if you're doing your maximum recoverable volume in the gym, what are you going to do on the field? You see the problem there? And I'll turn this around in a different direction, and I'll bring up bodybuilding, okay? So does maximum recoverable volume work for bodybuilders? Absolutely. Why wouldn't it? Because their goal isn't to perform. Their goal is to get as big as possible, so create as much muscle damage as possible and recover, right? But you go ahead and tell me one person who was a professional bodybuilder who then went on to play in the NFL. Now, I'm aware of NFL players who, I'm trying to think of the name, and I'm just going to totally blank on it, so we'll just skip the name, who played in the NFL and then went into bodybuilding after the NFL, okay? But I can't name a single bodybuilder who was a pro bodybuilder and then became a professional football player. It doesn't go that direction. You can't train like a bodybuilder and then expect yourself to perform in field sport. It just doesn't happen. So you have to train like an athlete. So minimum effective dose. And if you look across the board, I don't care who we're looking at, all these great coaches who have coached Olympians all talk about minimum effective dose. Well, where do you go? If you're already training at your maximum recoverable volume, where do you go when it's time to peak? Where do you move up from, right? So if we do the minimum effective dose where we're still making progress, whenever that progress plateaus and stops, then we can go ahead and add a little more volume and then squeeze a little more out. I don't know who made the analogy first, but I think one of the best analogies I ever heard probably came from the rugby strength coach, Keir Wenham Flatt. and it's like a tube of toothpaste, okay? When you get a brand new tube of toothpaste, you can push anywhere and toothpaste will come out. But as you get towards the end, right, you can't just push anywhere and expect more toothpaste to come out. Like, you can just squeeze right in the middle and toothpaste will come out, in the very beginning. Later on, it's like you got to start working up very carefully, and it matters where you push, okay? And the same thing happens with training athletes. In the beginning, anything will work. And it doesn't matter where you push. You create stress anywhere and you'll get some adaptation. As you're getting towards the end of this, you have to be very specific in where you create the stress and where you push. So the concept of maximum recoverable volume just simply doesn't work for athletes. I don't know why people took my comments as somehow that this is me hating Mike Israetel. That would be ridiculous. How immature would I be if I hated someone simply because I disagreed with them on a single topic? That wouldn't make any sense at all. That wouldn't speak very well of anyone if you hate someone just because you disagree with them on a topic. I think that he's right about a lot of things, and I think that he makes a lot of good posts. I think he makes a lot of good points. I have his book. I don't have any personal issue with him. I just happen to disagree with him on a single topic, and I don't think that maximum recoverable volume is the way to train athletes. I think the best way to train athletes is, really, it's not even minimum effective dose. It's like optimal effective dose. You want to choose the training stress that creates the best adaptation without digging so deep into their recovery that they can't continue to actually practice their sport. And I make fun of high school football coaches. Let's just beat the shit out of the kids, right? We're going to make them run laps and do burpees and Navy SEAL training for high school football players. So you grind them into the ground, and then you get mad at them because they're so beat up and tired and exhausted and sore that they can't perform well whenever you put them in the game. Because the dumbest logic ever. Take a lap, take a lap, take a lap, take a lap. That's cool. Oh, we're building mental toughness. No, you're not. You're just making tired athletes. And what tired athletes do? They run slower, they move slower. Go run a marathon and see how you feel afterwards, right? You're not going to be fast and explosive. So when you look at a sport like hockey or football, you need to be fast and explosive. So why would you grind yourself into the ground? Why would you train maximally just because you can? That doesn't make any sense. It's better for you to undertrain than to risk overtraining, because if you overtrain, then your performance goes down and then you lose the game. The goal isn't to have the best abs and the biggest biceps and step on stage. The goal is to win the game. That's the whole point. Why are you doing this? You don't win a Stanley Cup for having abs. It just doesn't happen. You have to perform. You have to be able to play the game. And trust me, that matters so much more. You would not be impressed by the gym lifts of a lot of these NFL, NHL, MLB, NBA players. They're not great gym athletes. They're not power lifters. They are athletes who play a sport. They're good at their sport. It's like whenever people made fun of LeBron James. LeBron James isn't a power lifter. He's a basketball player. He's not great at squatting. He's great at basketball, and he will dunk on you all day. So my point is, the whole idea that you're going to do maximum recoverable volume, that's so gym focused. And you need to get away from this gym focus. Our goal isn't to be the best in the gym. Our goal is to be the best in the game. So when it comes to the strength and conditioning side of things, you use the minimum effective dose. That way you still have the energy and the recovery and the performance factors that are necessary for you to play the game. So I hope that clarifies things. Like I said, this isn't because I hate an individual just because I disagree with them on a single topic. This is just a matter of that doesn't really work, and so you're just wrong about something, and that's not a big deal. I don't think less of someone just because they have an opinion that I disagree with. So hopefully this clarifies things, hopefully this makes sense, and I wish that people would understand certain things that work for bodybuilding aren't going to work in sport.